Hello, this is my 5-minute long video about the homework 2 for the configure design sprint. So there's a few questions that I'm supposed to talk about. Let's go through each of them. So spend 1 minute talking about the answers from the expert interview questions. Okay, so I don't have access to the expert interview answers that I put in the Google form. So apologies if I misremember a few things. But I think the main thing, the first thing is that what problem the product is trying to solve. I think the product is basically solving the problem of enabling someone to define how the deployment is going to work from their GitLab project to their infrastructure, which is their Kubernetes cluster, and also enabling monitoring of their clusters as well using Prometheus. So the current issue with the product, I feel, is the tension between AutoDevOps and Kubernetes management, where AutoDevOps is very developer-friendly or beginner-friendly versus Kubernetes management, especially for a production cluster, where it's not something necessarily I will want to use. So to illustrate the point, part of setting up AutoDevOps is to install some of these applications, but this is probably not something that I would personally use to install to manage my Kubernetes applications. I would probably either use Helm directly, or using the command line, or something else that installs my packages, such as remember what other things besides Helm. There's others. So the other thing is that this is kind of mouse driven, so it's not which means it's not repeatable. So it's not kind of best practice for setting up an infrastructure. So there's that tension there, where the kind of context is that we require the Kubernetes management to support this workflow. So that's one of the tensions there. The other kind of issue around this is GitLab is set up in such a way to push CD-based development, so continuous deployment, which can be a huge kind of barrier to surmount, or a huge kind of concept for people to grasp as well. So that's perceived to be the requirement for someone to adopt our current way of deploying to Kubernetes, when that is probably not the case. So I think in the ideal world, the product should be able to support both CD-based development and non-CD-based development, but also push and pull-based deployments as well, where either we have the capability to push changes to the deployments from GitLab, or have the ability for the cluster to pull in changes instead. But all this really leads to complexity. And this is where GitLab really sets out to do, is to reduce the amount of complexity required to even have something. So that leads into problems that I see in the current vision. So I think as a developer, the main problem that I see is that we currently require direct queue control access. So for developer, direct queue control access is fine. But as a CI tool for production application, it's kind of hard to envision that internal infrastructure will be open up like that. Yes, there are caveats. There are some organizations that will have GitLab hosted in the same infrastructure, so that is possible for them. And also, it is actually possible to host specific runners as well in the same infrastructure to push direct queue control access. So maybe those are short-term mitigations where we can set up tutorials for those things. And lastly, the state of the technology. and what is happening in the field of Kubernetes and how you envision the future. So I think Kubernetes is definitely the standard infrastructure declarative API that has won, albeit there's still some abstraction leakages, but it has such great adoption that I can't see anything else winning, although traditional VMs and Fargate and containers is still a substantial portion of the market as well. What will happen in the future is that more and more companies will build on top of Kubernetes rather than using Kubernetes. And in the long term, it feels like the successful company will build on top of Kubernetes and hide it all away and possibly fork it just to enable it to achieve its goals. And that will probably eat up everything else. But that's probably fine in the future, and lots of companies have tried this and not gotten anywhere. But we will see, because the reason why I think that way is because Kubernetes is still rather complex, and the successful company that will enable standard, easy, easy ergonomics for developers to push their code the same way in development as the same way as the production will win. Yeah, so I don't have much about other kind of answers to the other questions. So thank you.